story to where they'll use those. So about 97% success rate on everything I've sent out, which I think is pretty good. All the stories, as you probably know, are published on our Facebook page. However, talking with Reed and other folks up here, Brad's one of them, sometimes you got to be careful with Facebook, because once it gets out on social media, you really don't have much control over it. And as you all know, people will write whatever they want to write on Facebook, and it's hard to combat that. So I've been very forward thinking on what I want to put on our Facebook page, because it's going to be more of a fun story, more of a story that will be real hard for somebody to be critical about. So I think lost her name. Shelby does a great job with that. I forward that stuff to her, and we work hand in hand on that. Of course, I published the first Green River Insight. Appreciate the mayor doing a story on the front page of that. I assume everybody has seen that. It was in the utility bills, and so far I've had 8. I had 7 when I wrote this, but now I've had 8 guesses on how many miles of sewer pipe we have in the ground, or storm pipe in the ground. And I haven't got a correct answer yet, but so far I've had 8 now that have actually guessed that. So I think that's been kind of fun. Maybe we can track that a little bit better. But so far I think the reaction from the newsletter, of at least people I've talked to, has been positive. That's where I need your help. I would plan on doing another one in January, and as you can see on there, will eventually be an all digital thing, and that's kind of where we would like to go with this. Just for cost savings more than anything. But I think the one in January will continue to put in the utility bills, but we'll eventually want to make it all digital. But where I need your help is, I need your help telling me what you would like to see in that. Obviously Pete's message I thought was good. On the back side, we did an update on the sewer plant, what we're expecting from the sewer plant. And then on the left side and the right, both left sides of it, I just kind of did some fun things, some informational things on the front page and on the back, thanking the city employees that retired. But you've seen it, you know what it's all about. I'd like to continue to do an employee spotlight. I think that's good. This month I had Brad pick out an employee, and he picked out Kevin Sadler. So next one I'll have either Chris or the chief or Larry or somebody pick somebody out, and we'll put a spotlight on somebody there. But the main stories on the right side of both sides of the page, I would like your input on what you would like to see there. One idea that was thrown out is maybe we do a recap of the 6 penny. It just went off. Let's recap what the 6 penny did for the community of Green River and go through that and explain the projects, and because I have a feeling the 6 penny is going to come up again eventually, and maybe this is a way to show the people this is what we spent our 6 penny money on. That's just an idea. So I need a couple of ideas, but whatever you guys would like to do, and gals, I would be more than happy to just have some. You can shoot me an email or something, and we'll take a look at it. Okay. Down the road, in talking with Reed, creating new tools. One of the tools we talked about is similar to what the school district's doing when they send out a text message if there's something that needs to be, like if we're going to close a road down, like the highway department came in that one day and closed the road down, and nobody was really aware of that. Something like that, at a tool where we could text message our patrons, and our patrons can text message us. You know, hey, you got a pothole over on Hitching Post that I could lose my front end on, or something to that effect, where they can communicate with us as well. So it's called a 311 tool. And so we're going to be looking into doing something like that, and expanding and being able to talk more on a one-on-one basis with our taxpayers. Like to build relationships with businesses and the industry. We're talking about maybe having a every 3-month kind of meeting with the Trona industry, find out what the city can do for them. How can we help them? So we know there's an expansion hopefully coming soon, and that's going to be huge for the city, and I think we're going to be a big major player in that, obviously. So I think meeting and sitting down with them and asking them what we can do to help them, I think is a good step in the right direction. I'm working very closely right now with the Sweetwater Economic Development Coalition. I went to one of their meetings, and you can see in that booklet that I handed out that there's a story in there that I actually wrote for the Sweetwater Economic Development Coalition, and that was on the Baxter Road, the Middle Baxter Road project. So I'll be going to the meeting on their meetings. I think we have a meeting this Thursday. I'll be going over there and helping them promote what they're doing, because we're a major player in the Sweetwater Economic Development Coalition, and I think what we can do to help them will help us, and we can work hand in hand together. So those are some of the things that I've been doing. You have any questions, comments, thoughts, anything that you that maybe we're not doing that we probably need to do more, less? You know, I'm here to listen to your comments. Tom?
What's it going to cost for the 311, and how are we going to get everybody's cell phone numbers?
You know, I don't know how that works, so maybe Reed does, but
We already have like a code red system that's out there. It's similar to what, we can already identify by streets in some of the places, but the 311 is that we actually have with our Civic Plus, which is part of our website and part of our the IT tools that we have. There's an app, if you will, that we can add on to that. We're looking. They were just purchased, and so we're looking at to see how well it would fit with what we're going to be doing. But it's also more like a work tool, if you will. If someone comes by and sees graffiti, they can snap a picture, send it in. It's kind of like a citizen action request or a council action request. We can get it to a point where maybe it shows up as a work order, for example. Then they can see if that it was entered. They can follow up to see when it was fixed or get comments on it, or just another way to communicate with us. And I think so. The cost isn't as expensive as in terms of having an add-on to what we already have in terms of our Civic Plus website.
Right, because I know, if I'm right, Larry, on the code red, the fire department no longer uses that, right?
Right. Yeah.
But the problem was we would go out, anytime the fire department went out there, we'd ask the citizens to give us your cell phone numbers, sign them up on that. When this was a few years back, when cell phones, maybe not as big, popular, a lot of people still had home phones. Now, almost nobody has a home phone. Everybody's got cell phones. So I was just wondering how they're going to get the numbers or whatever, unless the public actually gives them to the city to say, here you go, here's what we got, here's what we can do for you. And I'm just wondering how some of the citizens would say, oh,
Yeah.
I don't want you to know my cell phone number. If I want to call you, I'll call you, but I don't want you to know that. Because I hate to say this, I get phone calls now from everybody and their dog on my cell phone. You can't even block the numbers. My wife gets a call at 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock every day. Same people, and it's a different number all the time.
yeah, the school district uses a messaging system, and I don't know if you're on that.
Don't have kids
But I know
anymore.
Reed is.
Yeah.
If you're a parent,
Text and
Mark's on it.
email.
Everybody, it's a messaging system. So if we have a snow day, school's not going to run, this messaging goes out to all those people.
That would be if you have kids and
Right.
you gave them your phone number. If you don't give them your phone number, they can't call you
Yeah.
or contact you, so they have to have that contact person. So that's what I'm saying is,
It's a voluntary thing.
right, for the city
There's no
to
doubt.
have this or whatever,
And it's-
great idea. I'm
right.
just wondering
And
how
it's
they're
more,
going to get everybody to
right.
sign up.
But it's also more, what we're looking at is more of an additional communication tool for residents and citizens to interact with us, not for us to interact with them.
It'd be like an app. It'd be like an app you could put
Well-
on your phone that would communicate directly with the city. If you had that app, you just click on it and go, hey, you got a water line that's broke over on Riverview and you got a problem.
Well,
It's a way to communicate that way.
the Wyoming Waste has got an app. How many people have signed up for that
I have
app?
no idea.
Because I know that feeling because I went to my neighbor. Well, I don't even know what it is. Oh, I've got an app. Oh, I've never put that on my phone.
Yeah.
It's possible. Oh, I don't want to be bothered by that.
So, Councilman Murphy, one of the things that we're talking about is there's more than one way to reach people. We have
Right.
to find all the different ways.
I agree. Facebook is a great thing, is a good thing and a bad thing, but a lot of people look at it. A lot of people look at Sweetwater Now or YO4 News,
And we have a good relationship with those, and we're gonna continue that relationship for sure.
Yeah, because I mean, you see a bad wreck or whatever, boy, it's on there and you got 50 comments on what's happening or what was going on or what was this or what was that. Might not be always true,
Right, that's the problem.
but you, well, that is true. Well, it's the same as the news or anything else. Nobody, they always say whatever they want to.
Sure.
But okay, that was my only question.
Well, and if the citizens don't want to sign up, they don't have to sign up. That doesn't matter.
No.
It's a voluntary thing.
Yeah. It's
It's,
just
it,
another
it is
tool,
just like,
communication tool.
Tom, it is just like Wyoming Waste. You know, if you want to participate, if you want to have the most recent information, you sign up. If you don't care, you don't do it. It's not something that we really care if the people do it or not. I mean, we're encouraging them to do it so we can provide them with more information. If they choose not to, because they're anti-government conspiracists or whatever, that's up to them.
Also, I think, Steve, I think that's a great idea. And I echo what the mayor's saying. I think we should do everything we can. And if a citizen chooses not to participate, that,
Yeah, I just think the more tools you have in your communication chest, the
And I
more
like
likely you're
that
gonna be.
idea.
And I agree with Tom, and we have to be wary of expenses and what it costs and all of that. I get that.
well,
And so, but
Sure.
there's a lot of ways we can communicate that isn't gonna cost much.
well, to support what Tom's saying, I've got a mother that's 92 years old and she struggles with her cell phone. She's
Sure.
probably not going to
Sure.
communicate.
Sure.
She'll call me. But there are people out there that don't communicate that way. So Tom does have a point.
Yeah,
But I still agree with
yeah,
the mayor.
I agree.
Well, and I'm an example, and I'm not 93, of
Oh, you-
of somebody that you got some communication issues with
Say
cell
he was
phones and
93.
electronics.
Did you say he was 93?
You know, and I think Tom would probably agree. I have a good working relationship with Jamie over at the police department. You know, we've had a few bumps, but that we're going to have those, and we're working through those. But, you know, I think, you know, what Jamie does over there helps. Jim?
I do have.
Do you mind if I call you by your first name? Or
Absolutely.
Okay, all right.
I do have the name and contact information for the head design engineer for Pacific Soda LLC.
Uh-huh.
So I can get you that information if you would like,
Okay,
so that you can keep up on that project.
perfect. That'd be great.
I have all that.
I mean, we're a big partner in that, obviously.
Yeah, I'll get
Huge
you that.
partner.
I'll get you that.
Okay, great.
Also, Steve, I think we should still continue to work on the Trona Capital of the World Museum.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think we have like a lot of meetings, and we have industry partner meetings, or we have a Trona every 3 months, you know, kind of through the. But this is more of trying to be a kind of a one-on-one with these guys, and having these sit-down sessions and talking with them, and enhancing what not only what we do or what we can do, but that we have relationships, you know, that work with SCDC or work with Rock Springs or work with other areas that. Just to know that we're there as trying to be as a partner with them, and you know, the more we know with what's going on and how we can connect with that, the better. So I mean, we gotta, you know,
And that connection may help with what you're talking about.
Yeah,
The
that would
virtual
be-
thing. I
that
mean,
would be-
that's a great idea, and it might be something they might just jump on board and fund. We don't know. But I think that relationship needs to be built up a little bit.
Any other questions for Steve? And I would just tell you, I'm sure that there's going to be feedback to you guys outside of this meeting. That's when you're really going to get it. People are going to go back and think, and you know,
Sure.
I'm going to come back to you and tell you the 6 penny is something that we got to do an article on, things like that. You know,
Right.
so I think you can get a lot of feedback and appreciate.
Yeah, and I think both sides of the next newsletter will be a spotlighted something. So we actually have some options there. I think we need to do that, unless one of you guys, gals, want to volunteer to write me a nice little note that I can put in there. But
And I do like your newsletter. I think that's a
okay,
great idea.
good. Okay, I'm sorry I have to run, but you know, just like you, I was elected to represent, so I better go do it.
Thank you, Steve.
Thanks for having me. And like I said, these people, well, you guys all know that. These people up here are great people. You got great people working for you. I'm just ecstatic about the people I get to work with every day. It's good stuff. Okay? All right, thanks. And I'll introduce Ryan. Here's Ryan Rust.
thanks, Steve.
All right.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. So I am Ryan Russ. I am the Government Affairs and Grants Manager, and I'll repeat a number of things that Steve said, but I'll try and be brief. I came here after serving as the Executive Director of the Young at Heart Senior Center in Rock Springs. Did a lot of grant writing and a lot of government affairs work for both that organization and all of the senior centers across the state of Wyoming. We have an organization, so lots of legislative activity with that. Just in general, from a 30,000 foot level, I kind of see this position as really, I think the grants piece is somewhat self-explanatory, and we'll discuss that a little bit further. But the government affairs piece, really working with all levels of government, everything from your task forces up to the legislature, to better coordinate, use resources more effectively, and support the city of Green River and our goals. And I think that in partnership with Steve and getting some of that marketing and getting the word out, the two of us are really going to ensure that Green River is seen as a key player at all levels. So I'm excited. Again, as Steve said, what a great group of people here at the city. I'm extremely happy to be here, and we've got a great crew. So that brings us to the legislature, which is going to be a big focus for me in the next few months. The general session starts January 12th. It's 40 legislative days long as opposed to the 20 legislative days for the budget session. There's going to be a lower bar to get some bills introduced because it's a general session, so a lot of opportunity, although we know that the state budget is going to be a big point this year, of course. I did want to mention that we know right now that about a quarter of the legislature is going to be new folks, just from the people in the primary elections and those who are not running. So we have both an opportunity and a real need, I think, to let the legislature know Green River's priorities and what we need to be successful as a community. So my intent is I'm going to create a legislative tracking worksheet and provide that to you on a regular basis with some basic outlines of what some of those bills are that are out there, what that means for Green River, and where we're at on moving through that process and supporting or opposing, quite frankly, some of those. So I guess one of the things that I need from you as the agenda setters for the city is how do we want to set those priorities of what kinds of things we really want to be active on, what things we want to push and move to support during the legislative session, and how do we decide on what those things are. So I know, for instance, that WHAM typically goes through a resolution process, creates a number of resolutions to support those things that they're supporting. I think that's certainly an option. We have the opportunity to set up some workshops when we see some of those bills come out, have a discussion about what those things are that we want to support. And so that's going to be a question that we can either discuss tonight or you can get back to me on. But I definitely would like some direction so that we can get those items on the agenda. And then in doing that, it's my goal to basically assist you as the leaders of the city and make it easy for you to support those legislative efforts. So I've already got some contact lists drawn up, so it'll be a quick copy and paste for you to reach whatever committee or local legislators, whatever the case may be. Provide some draft correspondence that you can utilize to send out to those individuals, and some talking points. So I really want to be helpful to you guys in making that process easy. And please, at any point, let me know what I can do to be more helpful. And then finally, the attendance and representation piece. I know that typically we go down and meet with the legislature. That may be a little odd this year. In fact, just tomorrow, the management committee of the legislature is meeting to define some rules on how they're going to host the session with the COVID concerns and what that's going to look like. So we're still going to be a little bit tentative at this point. But we would like an idea of those folks who are interested in going down and taking part in that process so that we can get the ball rolling on getting rooms and reservations made. So if you would please be sure to consider that and let us know if you're interested. And then I'll move on to the grants management piece. So as was stated at the last council meeting, we recognize that all the city departments just do a fantastic job of going out and searching for funding opportunities. And so my position is really to build on that success that these folks have already created and create a coordinated effort. So the first step in that process is I'm creating a grant master list of all of the funding that we have sought in the last few years, and we'll continue to update that as time goes on. It's going to give us a great tracking of all of the various departments in one place, exhibit progress on the grants. It will help with compliance and due dates and seeing what's coming up. And we'll also provide a mechanism to report to you guys that, hey, in the last year we had X number of dollars in grants that we went after and we received this much. So I think it's a real opportunity for us. And then we'll build on that position into more grant research and grant writing to support all of the departments of the city. In fact, at the next council meeting, we'll have another one on the agenda. So that's kind of the grants piece at this point in time. And then my final slide, so keeping her brief here. Priorities moving forward. We know that revenues are going to be tight. And so we just wanted to have a discussion with you about what kind of projects we want to prioritize to keep us moving forward during this time. And there's lots of opportunity out there. And so some of those things that we had I talked with Reed about and that we wanted to have a discussion on is some potential ideas. The discussion of the solid waste district has always come up. Economic development opportunities supporting SEDC, Main Street, the Chamber of Commerce, and also the Joint Command and Communication, first responders, all of those things that the city puts a substantial amount of money in to support, and how can we do things to make ourselves more efficient and move forward. So I guess those are the kinds of things that I wanted to have a discussion about with you all. And with that, I'll take any questions.
Right. Speaking as a citizen of Green River, it's so exciting to hear about all the grants. And I mean, I can't believe any citizen in Green River wouldn't be excited to hear about the money that we're getting in to do special projects in our city. So this is just so exciting. I was, when we first talked about this position before you even came on board, it was just exciting. It was just a no-brainer that we need to be active in this arena. And boy, we didn't know what was coming, but boy, now more than ever, it's huge. And we're excited, I'm excited, and we definitely need to get this out of what we're doing here at the city with grants. So keep up the good work, and I'm expecting to hear good things, and excited.
I appreciate that, Councilman, and I do think that this is, again, just it highlights how Steve's position and my position are really going to work hand in hand to do exactly what you said, and utilize some of the resources that I'm putting together so that Steve can then go out and tell that story to the citizens. Excellent. And I think it's going to be great.
Excellent. Carry on.
Yeah.
I just wanted to say I attended a lot of workshops on grants and researching grants and writing grants, and it's a lot of work. There's a lot of money out there, but I think you guys are on the right track, and I agree with Jim. I'm really excited to see us get money for projects, and that's what you have to do. You almost have to have certain people out there researching that and finding those. So I appreciate all the things that you're doing, Ryan.
Yeah, I just want to comment that of those projects, the solid waste district and the joint communications, we've been discussing them informally for a long time, and we really need to get down and either have workshops and see what we can do to move those to the next step. Working, You know, and I think that one of the key things in a lot of this is the election, the current election. Once everybody gets in place, the local people, then we can move on working with whoever's with the county commissioners and the solid waste district and the joint communication center, because there's just a lot of money to be saved potentially with that intergovernmental coordination. But there's really not a whole lot of sense in doing it until, and we only have 20 some days, right? And then we're going to have to get with it. And it's the same thing with the 6 penny too. I mean, that's going to be a major thing that an intergovernmental person is going to be working on, and that's working with all the governments in Sweetwater County too. So
Yeah, I'd like to, say, those things are up there. We have been talking about for a long time. There has been movement on all of them, of course. Especially when you look at, from economic development, the Middle Baxter Road project and the meeting we're having Thursday already, talking about infrastructure and talking about the consultants that we're doing with types of businesses we bring in. How we're going to work with Christina, at the county, and we do some intra-government, if you will, working with them on grants and how we partner together with everybody. But looking at one of the things we brought those ones up specifically is outside of just normal, looking at the budgets and what we have to do, looking at the state at the levels they're having to cut or the colleges that they're having to cut. We went ahead and put a lot of those cuts in place, held back, and time will tell to see how quickly we can get out of this and if we have to do anything additional. We are currently watching anything that's being spent again. We're looking at, but we need to look at ways that change how we do business or change how we operate. And those couple specific things right there are definite areas where we need to work with Rock Springs and the county and us and see where it fits in terms of how a city or municipality should operate and the costs that they have to deal with, and specifically even in those areas. You still want to be in a development mode even when it's a downturn. You can have you have the ability to get stuff at a less cost, or you have ability to get stuff done when you might not have been able to on a timeline or time frame. But the decisions that we have to do, especially going into a 6 penny, looking at it, just drive down Knotty Pine, the smoothest street in town now. But that's one of those things that we that we can get done with that, and it's going to be real critical in the work that Ryan's doing, and also the marketing and putting us in. That's why that one last part of the slide talked about brand enhancement. We are a brand, if you will, on at the city level, and we have to make sure that we continue to move us forward, and not just be stuck and just like hope something changes. We need to. There are a lot of areas we can address that are cost centers that can save us some money. Or allow us to do something else without having to, just, hey, we got to cut people and cut all that, that kind of thing. So it's more of, as Mayor Russ said, we've been talking about it. There is movement, but it's time to take the reins on some of them. And that's kind of the direction we're pushing, is by having Steve and Ryan and our department heads and stuff that we have is us taking the reins on some of the stuff and making sure it gets done. So.
any other questions or comments from council? Thanks, Ryan.
So what we do is, as we go into the legislative session, we'll be putting stuff together. We'll take a look at WHAM. We'll get with Rock Springs. We'll get with the county. We'll look at all those types of bills, putting something on there, probably via email, sending it out and seeing what response might be, and maybe whoever, if we have new council, be involved at that time. We're just kind of looking at these next 3 to 6 months are going to be pretty busy with on the stuff that they're doing. So we want to make sure that we give you the tools to respond and react as well. So okay, you almost could have still made this meeting.
All right. Okay. Any questions, comments, any thoughts? Okay. We're adjourned. So Jim can go watch Atlanta.